There's just something about that theme music that just gets in your head and it stays there. We've only had this theme music for a couple weeks now, and literally every single day it pops in my head. I don't know about you guys. What about you guys? What do you guys hear our theme
Oh
song?
yeah, oh yeah, it's the soundtrack of the summer. I think so.
I think
Yeah,
so.
It
Wild Dove. They're a pretty good up and coming band.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it pumps me up whenever I hear it. It now has even more meaning. I always liked it to begin with, but now it has even more meaning because it means I get to talk some football with you two guys.
It's beautiful. And we are talking football. You're here with Aetan, Tyler, and myself, Ryan. And we are currently doing a mock draft. We're reviewing a mock draft. We're going through rounds 6 to 10. So if you missed the first episode, go ahead. It's going to be in the annotation somewhere on the screen. I'm just going to point all over somewhere. My finger's eventually going to point where that, wherever that thing is, man. The dancing's for free.
Yeah.
The dancing's for free. Please subscribe.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at everybody loves my comedy. So this is our draft board. And for my 6th round pick, I went with Kareem Hunt. Now, for those who watched the previous episode, I actually came into this spot with 3 running backs and 2 wide receivers. But I couldn't help but draft Kareem Hunt. Now, of course, Nick Chubb did have some concussion issues through training camp. It's no big deal. He is back on the field, but he did go through the concussion protocol. The moment I saw that, I automatically thought to myself, what would that offense look like if it was just Kareem Hunt? And the answer is it would just be a gong show. I feel like Kareem Hunt, if he is isolated, he has top 10 potential easy. And even with his utilization, where the split's going to be 55-45, maybe 60-40, even if he gets the 40 portion of that split, he's still going to be a solid running back, especially for that spot in that round. So I couldn't help myself. I love running backs. So I had to go with Kareem Hunt right there. And speaking of running backs, Tyler, you went with the rookie sensation, Cam Akers, who's actually turning some heads right now in Rams practice. What's going on with that? So do you feel confident with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's some more unfortunate news over the weekend with Darrell Henderson getting the hamstring injury.
Right.
It looks like he should be ready for week 1. But yeah, just losing all that preseason time in such a weird preseason. It looks like this is, well, it's going to become the fact that they drafted him where they did in the actual NFL draft. It's going to eventually become his job. But I think this might speed things up a little bit because I think he's now leapfrog past Henderson, where it was originally probably looking like a pretty muddied backfield. I think he's going to emerge probably by week 3 as the starter. I still think Malcolm Brown will get the starts week 1 and 2 just to kind of get things going. And I think Malcolm Brown might steal some goal line work throughout the season. But Cam Akers is the reason they got him is because he's very versatile. He plays that Todd Gurley style from a couple of years ago where he could be a 3-down back and also he could help a lot in the passing game, which Sean McVay loves because he could run that play action. And then if there's nobody downfield, Goff could just dump it off to Akers there. And then usually he's got a lot of room because those screen passes are always going to be like those screen routes and screen passes are what McVay is all about. That's what he made his name on. I think Akers is going to fit perfectly in that style of offense.
Yeah, for sure. You have to offset that really bad offensive line somehow. So yeah, screen passes, I totally get it. And that's not a shot. It's kind of a shot. My bad.
From the Seahawk fan.
From
talking
the Seahawks
about an
fan,
offensive line, okay.
Yeah, no. Could someone protect him? Someone protect Russell Wilson, please. Please.
The guy said Unger, you gave him away for nothing. I mean, that's ancient history now. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna hide my tears behind this draft board. What were you gonna say, Aetan?
Going from bad offensive lines to good offensive lines would be my pick.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about we're all talking about our teams right now because Michael Gallup is the next one up.
Yeah,
Aetan, beautiful pick there. Did you know? Of course, you knew. But the viewers at home, did you know that Michael Gallup averaged more targets per game than Amari Cooper last year? That is not surprising because Michael Gallup was phenomenal last year.
Yeah, and you know what? There's been a little bit of a chemistry coming between Dak and Gallup, and it's growing a bit each year. In Gallup's rookie year 2 years ago, there was probably about 4 passes that Gallup was wide open, but Dak kind of overthrew him a bit. And if he had toned those in, he would have had 4 more touchdowns just in his rookie year. These guys are getting a lot of chemistry. Gallup is an extremely reliable player. I actually think he's more consistent than Cooper. I think Cooper will finish the year with more fantasy points, but I think Gallup will make you not pull your hair out as much because Cooper can go on a 2-3 game stretch where he gives you 2 catches for 24 yards, and then he'll do 3 catches for 210 or something ridiculous. But Gallup is an extremely safe option, and with Cobb and with Witten both leaving the team, there's even more targets up for share. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb is going to be after some of them, but by all accounts, this is a 3-headed monster of wide receivers on this team, and all 3 of them are going to see their shares. I could see all 3 of these guys getting between 90 to 120 targets each. And if he hits those numbers, he'll finish right where I've drafted him, right in that nice soft WR3 / maybe WR2 if he gets the right amount of touchdowns.
Yeah, and I see him going WR2 more. I mean, like, let's also consider Dak Prescott is technically in a contract year. I mean, he is, right? So, I mean, like, he's going to get paid one way or the other.
Yep.
He might get franchise tagged. Either way, I feel like Dak has to ball out this season.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no question. So let's go from a great offensive line to another great offensive line, and your next pick, which is Ronald Jones, Tyler. Now, of course, recently I'm sorry. Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
me. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's you, Aetan. So
Yes.
you must be stoked to have him. Recently, there was some talk out of Tampa Bay Buccaneers camp that there have been some drop passes, but don't let that scare you. Because guess what? Ronald Jones this year, it's a thing. And he's going to be catching passes from Tom frickin' Brady.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, to get him this low seems like a really good deal. I have put some caution on this pick, and I still will put some caution on this player. It's his field to have for now, but he can lose it quicker than almost any running back in the league. If he struggles or if he misses assignments, I can see them going to their depth pretty darn quickly, whereas a lot of other running backs might get a little bit longer of a leash. But as of right now, he is their guy, and if he becomes their guy and stays their guy, he's going to have a very productive season. And getting him in the 7th is, in my opinion, a very, very safe spot to grab him.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great pick. I love that pick for sure. And yeah, it's going to be a thing. I swear it's going to be a thing. Why don't we go ahead and talk about Tyler's pick? Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
But Tyler picked Jordan Howard out of the Miami Dolphins. What?
You've skipped one round.
Have I skipped one round? Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good.
That's all good.
Marvin. Oh, I'm sorry. How could I skip Marvin Gordon? How could I miss him?
I'm never going to live this down.
You're never going to live that down. Never. Marvin Gordon. Marvin Jones, of course. So here's a little stat for you. Despite playing just 13 games and playing with backup quarterback, Marvin Jones finished as a top 30 wide receiver last year. Top 30. Tyler, you must be stoked to get him in the 6th round. 7th round?
Oh, yeah.
7th round.
Yeah.
7th round.
I got him late. I know Aetan is also very high on Marvin Jones. And like we've discussed in earlier episodes, this guy is just as productive as Kenny Golladay. He's gotten those targets. He's gotten those looks, and he's a big guy that can get down the field. Similar to what I said about DK Metcalf, like these big wide receivers that can also get their legs moving and get down the field are dual threats where they can get targets all over the field. And that's where you're going to find value in fantasy football, is where you're not just worrying about one type of play, and that's when your guy's getting the ball. He's going to get the ball on any down for any purpose that they're looking for. So while he is the wide receiver 2 in Detroit behind Golladay, like we've learned, he could surpass Golladay. And if you're looking at it, Galladay's going in the 3rd round. I'm getting him in the 7th. I'll take that value any day of the week. And so at this point in my team, he's my 3rd wide receiver to join my team, and so he's going to be in my flex position or coming off the bench, and a guy with that talent in that spot on my team, I'm very excited for.
Yeah, that's awesome. By the way, word to the wise, if you are going to have a draft weekend, try to schedule your shows not after that weekend because, oh boy. But thank you for watching. Go ahead and click like and subscribe. I'm so glad that you guys are still with us. Next up, I picked a Ram, and I'm not one of those people who will deny talent, and Tyler Higbee is definitely that talent. For sure. Am I in the right round? Now I'm
No.
guessing everything. I'm
No.
totally not.
You are totally off by
You're,
2.
Two.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just tell the viewers one thing here. We did our draft on 2 nights ago, our main Can-Am draft, and for sure, the drunkest of the draft award went to Ryan by the end of it all. So you're gonna have to bear with him. He's a new father, and he's trying to jig the whole drinking days. So, anyways, back to you, Ryan. It's round 7.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought this whole hosting a show, being a new dad, would be a difficult thing? Deontay Johnson in round 7. So I'm stoked that I managed to get this very trendy player. Deontay Johnson, of course, he's playing the Antonio Brown role in this offense. You're going to have Juju Smith-Schuster going back to the slot, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity. There's been some really good reports out of camp for sure. So I'm stoked to get him. Now, I know that when we're talking about Deontay Johnson, he is not Antonio Brown, which is a good thing because he means he can actually play in the league. But honestly, when you've got Ben Roethlisberger throwing you the ball, it's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. So I'm really stoked to have him on my squad. He's a trendy pick. In around the 7th round, I can see him going pretty quick. The next one I have up is Philip Lindsay. Now, Philip Lindsay is the handcuff to Melvin Gordon, who I ended up drafting in the 4th or 5th round. It's up there somewhere. I'm not going to concern myself with accuracy at this point. With all the reports coming out of camp of how good Philip Lindsay is doing, I wanted to make sure that I was safe. So when you have a running back that can actually go ahead and have standalone value and get him as low as the 8th round, that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all, especially when you've got someone who has the opportunity to really shine. And of course, if Melvin Gordon goes down, you have got that safety valve. And we've seen in 2 straight years, this is an undrafted running back that's run for over 1,000 yards. So I will take that in a heartbeat. I dig it. I dig me some Philip Lindsay. He does good work.
Yeah.
I think what you should say is anybody who's drafting Melvin Gordon should be going after Philip Lindsay for sure. That's a great combo to have. I think so. It's a good.
Absolutely. If you're looking to, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and honestly, if you can steal him, like he's also one of those great high upside. Maybe you throw him in the flex occasionally, and if Melvin Gordon goes down, you've got a solid running back too right there, and that is really nice. Next up, I mentioned his name before in this podcast. It's Jordan Howard. It's now Jordan Howard, coming from Miami. He used to be with the Eagles. So it's going to be really exciting to see what he's able to do. And any time that Jordan Howard has had the lead role, he's been able to do a lot. So I like where you got him there, Tyler.
Yeah, he's my RB4. So he's going to be in and out of my flex, or maybe just filling in if I do take an injury, which we're all kind of thinking we might see some injuries for running backs this year. So at this point in the draft, I'm pretty happy with them. Miami, I'm not excited about their offense that much, but he should get a lot of touches. So Matt Breida is there. I was just reading today, they are actually lining Matt Breida up in the wide receiver slot a lot, and sometimes with Jordan Howard on the field at the same time, which tells me that Jordan Howard is going to be that bell cow. Well, not bell cow back, but he is going to be that the traditional, run the ball from behind the line of scrimmage back as opposed to Breida. So he's not going to be getting a lot of 3rd down looks probably, and maybe in a half PPR you're not going to see a lot of catches, which you've never gotten from him anyway. But this guy can pound the rock. Like, this is a big man. who could knock over defensive linemen and get those extra yards after contact. So, and you saw him do it in Chicago. You've seen him do it in Philly. Put up relevant fantasy yards with other guys taking touches away from him, like with Tariq Cohen in Chicago and Miles Sanders last year in Philly. So yeah, I'm excited for him at this spot, and at this point, I still feel like running back heavy is good for you because that's the spot you want a lot of depth is your running back position, and yeah, so my fourth running back being Howard, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, great value for sure. Jordan Howard, definitely. It's a good spot for him for sure. Next up, we have an Atlanta stack from Aetan going with Matt Ryan, and then one of my favorite players to draft this year, which is Hayden Hurst. But let's start with Matt Ryan, of course. If we're going to be talking about how Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones are going to be going off this year, we have to be saying that regardless of age, Matt Ryan's going to have a good season. His last 4 years, he's had finishes of QB 11, QB 2, QB 15, and QB 2, and yet he's going in this spot in the draft. That's beautiful.
Yeah, pretty much everything you said. This is the 10th running back off the board, and I was looking over at both your guys' team and realized neither of you had taken a quarterback yet. So I figured if I didn't grab him around this round, I probably wouldn't see him. And I do think that there is a little bit of a drop off after him, based on who is there. So I grabbed him with the first quarterback out of the three of us, and I'm happy to have him in that spot, especially considering I have 4 solid running backs and 3 solid wide receivers. I think it's a good time to finally get your first quarterback when you are liking the depth that you've already created. So I'm very ecstatic to pick Matt Ryan in the 8th round here.
And so Matt Ryan, we're expecting him to go somewhere in the neighborhood of 620 pass attempts. Last year, Austin Hooper totaled 97 targets in just 13 games, which is a pace of 119 targets over a 16-game season, and that's what's going to be going to Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's why he's being drafted here. That's why people are going high on him. He lost his job to Mark Andrews, and that was just a product of Mark Andrews just being a better fit for that team. I'm not even necessarily sure Mark Adams is a better tight end than Hayden Hurst. I think just based on the system and the team, he had more opportunity there, and we'll see what happens this year. This is a very good opportunity for him, and if he's able to grab it and do what Ryan just said, see 100 targets, he's going to be an extremely valuable tight end and steal in round 9.
Tyler, what do you think? I'm kind of leaning towards kind of plug and play with Hayden Hurst, just from the draft capital that the Ravens spent on him. You have to imagine that he's going to be pretty decent in this offense.
Oh yeah, I'm big on the Atlanta offense. Like obviously Aetan is as well, with the amount of players he's taken from their offense in this draft.
Yeah.
I honestly, with just looking at the other tight ends available at this point, I don't know. Maybe you reach for him just a little bit. I say this round is pretty good to get him, but in this particular draft, not a lot of tight ends have come off the board yet. So you're looking at I believe it's just. So he was the 7th one off the board. Actually, that's where I have him ranked. I have him right around 7. But I feel like I feel like most people don't have him ranked that high. So if you're in your draft, you could probably steal him a little bit later, depending on how far those tight ends are going. I feel like a lot of people are going to go for Higbee over him.
No.
I feel with seeing both of your guys' faces in this draft, my only opportunity to get him was right then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you guys both had 2 picks before I'd get my next. So.
Well, why do you think I went with Higbee? I was going to get Hurst this round. Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's a great pick for sure, though. As a player, he's going to put up, like you said, those targets are up for him to take. So he's got no competition in tight end in Atlanta right now. So it's his job to lose. It's his chance to grab the spotlight right now.
Absolutely. So we go from someone who isn't going to have much competition to Latavius Murray, who's going to have a ton of competition. He's going to have his own role. Again, he's one of those high upside handcuffs that has his own value.
Yeah, and it was kind of fun because I got to steal Aetan's handcuff with this pick. It is great to have him on his own because he puts up those good solid yards. Like Alvin Kamara is more of a catching back. He gets those yards from behind the line of scrimmage as well. But Latavius is gonna be in his own right without a Kamara injury, God forbid. I think Latavius is going to be a great back. He's going to put up a steady floor for you because he's going to be a change of pace back in a great offense in New Orleans. So at this point, he's my running back 5, which, like I said, running back depth is so important. So he's not someone I'm relying on. So at this point in the draft, it's great to have him because he has that upside where he could jump up if they decide to use him in a certain way. And at worst case scenario, if I have to plug him in on someone's bye week, I'm not worried about him because he has that safe floor as well. So at this point in the draft, I'm glad to have him on my team for sure.
Absolutely. Great spot to pick him up for sure. We'll move on to my next pick, which was Tyler Higbee. And did you know that he is the only tight end that has posted 84 plus yards in 5 straight games in the NFL? That is an amazing stat line. And of course, Gerald Everett is going back there. But if you got a tight end that's playing as well as him, how do you take him off the field? I don't see it. So that's why I went with him. Next up, we have Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor, he has such a great opportunity. Now, I actually recently saw an argument online where we're talking about how rookie wide receivers don't necessarily produce right away. Jalen Reagor has every single opportunity because, let's face it, we do have an aging Deshaun Jackson. I don't want to short sell his talent, but he is aging, oft injured. He's going to have a couple of blow-up games for sure. But if Jalen Reagor can do anything in this offense, he is going to be an amazing steal at where he's going right now, which is the 10th round. I feel like the 10th round, I get him everywhere. And he has a great opportunity to make some noise this year for sure. Next up, Tyler, we have Zach Moss. And I love this pick. In the 10th round, why do people think Zach Moss, why do people think Devin Singletary is better than Zach Moss? Like, I don't get it. Like, right now you see the difference in ADP. Singletary's going way up. Sure, he's done it in the NFL, but they were both drafted in the 3rd round. They're both great running backs. One's a prospect, but I feel like Zach Moss gives you a little bit of upside as well because he's a great pass catcher and has the bulk to do the Frank Gore role, which is run between the tackles.
Yeah. So last year, Gore was to the detriment of a lot of Singletary drafters. Frank Gore was the guy, and people are wondering why isn't Singletary getting the rock? He eventually got it towards the end of the season. By then, it was probably too little, too late for a lot of people. In the off season prior to the draft, I was thinking, okay, Singletary might be the big breakout guy this year. And then they drafted Zach Moss. This guy came out of Wisconsin. He had a huge year. And he's actually the 3rd rookie I've drafted in this mock today, after CEH and Cam Akers. I think one of the interesting things is I heard the coaching staff in Buffalo is not happy with the way Singletary's lost the ball. Like, he's having fumbling issues. So if that happens in a game or if it happens too much in practice, this could become Zach Moss's job. Like, he could be the RB1 over in Buffalo. And if that happens and you get him in the 10th round, you're flying right now because a starting running back in that offense at this point in the draft is unheard of. So this is one of those examples of a late round home run you could potentially be hitting with this guy. So I'm very excited to get Zach Moss. I think I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying this is his job yet, but there are a lot of factors that could happen this year that would give him that job, and that's just great for anybody who's drafted him.
Absolutely. And then let's go ahead and roll right along to Aetan. Your last pick is Mecole Hardman in the 10th round. Of course, again, we're just finishing off this particular round. And Mecole Hardman right there, I can get why people are so excited for Mecole Hardman. It's neat because I feel like he almost serves as a one of the rare wide receiver handcuffs to Tyreek Hill, because I feel like he can play a very similar game to Tyreek Hill. You could almost slot him in if Tyreek was to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the coaching staff has taken him off special teams. He used to be their special team kick returner. Typically, when coaches do that, it means they have a bigger plan for him and they don't want to risk his injury on kick returns, since it's a dangerous profession.
Yeah.
So they pulled him off there, and the big thing that makes me nervous about Hardman is the fact that Sammy Watkins is still there. But every time you see Sammy Watkins, there's always a news report of some lingering injury that he has. And I think he's got one right now as well. I believe it's an ankle. I'm not entirely positive, but
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
yeah, but between him and Hill's, he gets nicked up too because he's a little bit smaller, a little bit speedier. So, when he gets hit really darn hard because he's moving so fast. So there's opportunity for this guy to move up the lineup. And as what Tyler was saying about CEH and who was the other gentleman you drafted from them? Anyways, from the Kelsey, yeah. So from the that part of that offense, you want to get a piece of it. And yeah, if Hill goes down, this guy could become their top wide receiver, and then you're sitting there with the top wide receiver and the top passing offense. And that's a pretty good place to be.
Absolutely. You want shares in that offense for sure. Well, that is the end of our rounds 6 through 10 of a mock draft, and we are hoping that helps you guys out with your drafts this season. And go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. We're going to be putting out a lot more content this season. A lot less hungover content will be my goal after this episode for sure. So we'll go ahead and we'll say goodbye to the lovely live viewers in just a moment. And yeah, we're going to play an ad. Join us in our drive for 500 subscribers, and you could win a signed Amari Cooper jersey. Are you new to the channel? Give us a like, subscribe, and click the notify bell. It helps a ton for a new channel like ours. We're going to have a random draw for a signed Amari Cooper jersey shipped anywhere in North America. So go ahead, click subscribe, and thank you for watching the CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast. And we are live here. It is CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast. We're just wrapping up the live show. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. We're going to do a little thing that we like to call What Have We Learned? So let's go ahead and start with Aetan. Aetan, what have we learned today?
We've learned that the more I'm thinking about it and the more I'm seeing it, I think Devontae Parker is probably one of the biggest steals you can possibly get this year if you can grab him in the 5th round. I'm just absolutely all in on this guy right now, and I think he's a great pick to be looking at.
Mm-hmm. Definitely after you picked him and you broke it down, I'm actually a lot higher on Parker too. So thanks for that, Aetan. I really appreciate that.
I'm glad we did our draft a couple days ago before I gave you this bit of info.
Perfect. And neither of us got him. So
no, I got him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
in one.
Fine.
In one.
Oh, I get it. He just likes him because he got him. Tyler, what have we learned today?
Yes.
I think I learned that I'm gonna be going after handcuffs a lot more aggressively this year than in previous years, especially with the lack of preseason. A lot of uncertainty with players' starting abilities, with everything that's going on in the world. I'm going to go going after handcuffs because these late round running backs that you're not spending a lot of draft capital have a lot higher chance of hitting big and winning you the league this year. So yeah, so I'm going to chase the handcuffs. I wouldn't say chase, but I'm going to definitely invest in them a lot heavier than I have in previous years.
Definitely go for those high upside handcuffs if you can get them. Beautiful call, Tyler. What have I learned today? I have learned that I need more running backs in my life, and that's the truth. And it's easy for a person to come on to a fantasy football podcast and be like, hey, go running back. Oh, running back, it's trendy. They are such a scarce commodity, and I found out firsthand just what that was like in my draft yesterday, because I feel like I would have liked my squad a lot better had I not waited to get more running backs. So definitely get those running backs earlier in your drafts. I felt a lot better about my mock draft team than the team that I drafted yesterday, and that's just kind of the way that goes. But hey, don't feel like it's the end of the world. If you feel bad about a team that you've drafted, guess what? The waiver wires are coming, baby. And we're going to be helping you with that all through the season. We're going to be with you for sure. So thank you to Tyler Ram. Thank you to Aetan Hensby. My name is Ryan Phillip Lamb, and thank you all for watching the CANAM Fantasy Football Podcast.